We're starting off high.
So we can get a two fools agree on that one. Oh, by the way, look, we got the wide shot.
There was you had accountability. Now what I can
now all you need is a podcast and a YouTube channel.
No, not even.
Where give me the money. Show me the money.
Apparently there's a Foolproof page.
Shoot the J. Shoot it. Live on Facebook.com/Foolproof Entertainment Network. I need you on Twitter. I need you to repost the Facebook pages.
To raise a human before I would
trust human to raise a pack of wolves.
Before I would trust a pack of humans to raise a wolf.
Right. I hear you. Yo, what's up, fools? We are back with another edition of Do Fools Agree. I'm your host, Michael Reggie. Running with a light crew tonight. Just me and my main man, Cliff.
Running with 1.5 tonight.
1.5, yeah, that's about right, because I feel like I got about half. We both operated at about 75%. We're doing this on a weeknight. As Cliff told the fans online, a school night.
Listen.
I tell you what, man. Speaking of school night, I'm done with this virtual thing, man. I give my son's teacher all the credit in the world. Mrs. S, she's doing a great job. I'm done teaching kindergarten. Can't do it. My son and I don't work well together sometimes, like especially when I'm encouraging him or trying to get him to do his work or do what he's supposed to do. Because we butt heads, right? You've seen it. I love him, and he loves me, and 75% of the time we're good. The problem is that when we're spending all this time together doing school, we get to that 25% a little more frequently and a little more often. And I tell you what,
I can understand it.
I don't understand why or how we can expect kindergartners to be doing, I don't know, he's doing like 5 to 6 Zoom calls a day in the morning. And then he's doing, he's got assignments kind of between the calls. Dude, I am literally on Zoom calls with him for, I think it's an hour and a half of like my first 3 or 4 hours of the day.
Are you required to be there?
I mean, I have to be with him just because he's a kid, man. Like he can get on to Zoom by himself now, but he can't be trusted to not like click around and like do other shit. So yes, I am with him. I'm near him at least, or I'm within earshot, so I can tell if he's paying attention or not. So I'm sitting on his fucking bed. He has a desk in his room now. I don't think he's had a chance to show his new desk to Uncle Cliff, but he's got a desk in his room now. And I bring down my laptop from my workspace up on just the other side of that curtain, and I literally sit in his bed with my laptop on my lap, like checking emails, doing that kind of thing, hopping on a call if I need to. Luckily, I've been able to move most of my stuff, but man, so I am moving all of my kind of day-to-day stuff like back to the afternoon. So I'm basically squeezing 5-6 hours worth of work, or 8 hours worth of work into 5 or 6 hours a day. And and on top of that, coaching, and on top of that, still trying to do the right thing in terms of getting to the weight room or walking or running. And here's my inadvertent, let me tell you about what happened this week. Some motherfucker tried to kill me. Legit, on purpose. So, I 3 days a week.
He said on purpose.
3 days a week. 3 days a week. I'm running, and 2 days a week I'm lifting. And I'm doing this at like 6 a.m. Tell me why I'm at the intersection of Main and Wilson, and this dude who is stopped at the red light when I get to the intersection decides to not only run the red light, but also pull into what would be oncoming traffic if there was any traffic at 6 a.m. And I'm not saying he was legit trying to kill me. He was trying to hurt me or he was trying to scare me. And, like, some dude in a white SUV, like, laughing about it while he did. I'm like, fuck you, dude. I'm out here just trying to get a fucking walk in before my goddamn having to teach fucking kindergarten and before my work day. And I'm like, you have got to be fucking kidding me.
Yeah, that's where we're at.
I mean, for
that's where you're at.
Sake, dude.
Listen, we gotta stay on our toes, everybody.
So it's been a long week, man. That was how my week started on Monday. Somebody tried to kill me. The weight room was all right after that. But I mean, it's fucked up. All I'm trying to do is get like a 3 or 4 mile walk in. And I got some asshole trying to run my ass over. Like, are you fucking kidding me?
Man, listen.
So now I walk with a little brick in my pocket because I'm going to fucking smash his shit if he tries this shit again. Honestly, I've only ever seen him the one time, but it's just like, what the fuck? So I don't know. So what about you, man? How's your week going?
First off, I don't know if a brick's what you need in your pocket.
Well, I know what you think I need, and you're probably right.
Listen, that's first off. Secondly, similar story.
Okay.
Only I wasn't running. I was logging into work. And these motherfuckers at my job tried to kill me.
How'd that happen? Wait. You're working remotely still, aren't you?
Yeah.
What'd they do? Set your computer to explode?
Listen, so I wish. God damn, man. These motherfuckers out of their mind. They tried to kill me. They tried to run me off the road with oncoming work.
Or, a job.
Or at least more of it.
I hear you.
So, moral of this story, it's been a week.
Yeah, I feel you, man. I'm over this shit. I'm done. and football season kicks off tomorrow, so.
Listen, I see a lot of motherfuckers coming to their breaking point. I tell you that.
Oh, no doubt. Well, I mean, we might as well use that as the segue. Like, the MLB and NBA staging their walkout after, the cops didn't kill this one.
Like this.
They tried. They didn't get him. They got him. He's probably going to be paralyzed the rest of his life. Shot 7 times in the back.
So I've heard.
And LeBron, from what I hear, LeBron was the one championing them not playing. Now, what I also heard is they're already basically saying they're going back to play now.
Right.
And I don't know if they got anything for their little protest or what, so I don't know. And then on top of that, you have a 17-year-old kid showing up with a fucking rifle, traveling across state lines, 17, open carry, illegal, buddy with cops leading up to it, and he kills 2 protesters and injures a 3rd. Like, man, you can't write this shit anymore.
Listen.
Like, I don't know.
We've already spoke about it.
Yeah.
We've already spoke about it. And like I said before, I feel like we are on track to the inevitable.
I mean, the more and more we sit through this shit, the more and more I'm kind of with it.
I mean, that's what it is. That's what it comes down to. I mean, I'm not going to get into it too much anymore, but I mean, if you're interested to know, look up those episodes.
Absolutely. I mean, I guess my question would be, like, what would change the NBA owners could make look like? Like, what? I mean, they can't make policy changes. Now, they have a lot of money. I guess they could throw more money at the situation. But I feel like if nothing else, the one thing that has happened over this last, call it 3-4 months of unrest, is you've seen more money than probably ever get thrown at causes like that. And maybe that's the starting point, because we know this country's run on the dollar, the almighty
But I
dollar
mean,
at the end of the day.
is it though? Because we've talked about that in the past episodes too. I mean, who are these so-called causes, and what are they actually contributing, other than to their salaries? You know what I mean? Like those. You're
not wrong there. You're not wrong for going down that trap. I think what I would say is, at least.
All I'm saying is,
the organizations that exist and the organizations that have supposedly stood to fight for these types of things have seen an influx of dollars. And you're right, you know.
But what have they done over the years?
Well, I mean, I guess it depends what organizations you're talking about. Like, I think the Southern Poverty Law Center and the ACLU have done a ton of stuff. In fact, they're the ones that have kind of won against Trump multiple times in terms of him basically breaking the law. They're the ones that are bringing the lawsuits against him and basically shutting down his executive orders. So,
see, that's the thing. I feel like that's the thing, though, that even with giving to those foundations or whatever the case may be, is contributing to the exact capitalist structure that we're in right now. Like, you're focusing on the few, while the few claim they represent the many.
Okay.
You feel what I'm saying?
No, you're not
it's not
wrong.
going to the many. None of that is going to any change. And people have been donating to these foundations for years, but you still see it going on to this day. You don't see it slowing down or stopping in any means. And I don't see anybody standing up for these foundations. Because the issue isn't, I understand everything else. The issue, we're not talking about the college rates and shit like that. And I get the poverty line, because that is a part of the, you know, the reason how we end up even getting into this position, you know, with poverty and people policing overpoverished areas harder than they do anywhere else. I definitely understand that. But the issue at hand right now is very clearly the war on colored people.
No, I agree with that.
And there's no foundation set to combat what's going on right now. So all this is white people donating back to white people that aren't in turn helping the situation. You're not helping anything. So, I mean, you got to understand, when you can open your eyes and see everything.
Where are the black leaders then? Where are the black social leaders at that point?
Shit, I don't know. You did a good. The country did a good job killing off a lot of them.
And I don't disagree with that, but I think in order for the kind of change that you're talking about, you're going to need that. And I hear you, and I don't.
And how many of them were found in rivers and found hung in trees? My whole thing is this: is when you can open your eyes and see something going on so cynical that's been in place for so long, you have to understand that the structure itself is cynical as well.
Oh,
so
absolutely.
If you want to contribute, you can't contribute by the natural means that you believe to contribute, because you're contributing into that same structure.
So what does it take at that point? I think that's where I struggle.
Liberation.
Okay, and how do you get there?
The people specifically. It's going to take a lot of people coming in and saying, fuck the government. We got to take care of the people that we see needed, period. The government's not going to do it. It's up to us. So if that means that us as people have to start joining little coalitions to make sure that we're all together, the people that we know need it, then fuck the government. You feel what I'm saying? Like, because they've proven time and time again that they're not here to help. You feel what I'm saying?
And that goes back to, and I think I quoted it like 2 weeks ago, right? Or 2 or 3 weeks ago, that every single form of government that has ever existed has eventually hit the point where they are only protecting the few of the quote-unquote ruling class, whether it was a democracy or a republic or a dictatorship. Like, eventually every form of government will get to the point where they are only protecting the ruling class.
Right.
And I don't disagree with what you're saying there. I think that the question is will it take kind of open revolution, or can you work within some of the confines of the system that exists? And I get the point of, you can't work within a racist system to make it not racist.
Period.
So.
Period. I mean, you got to think, just like you said, like, That white boy that came across the state lines wasn't the only motherfucker out there with guns that the police was trying to have round up some shit.
Nope, but he was.
And how many motherfuckers ran into them instead of the police? You
Fair.
feel what I'm saying?
Fair, but I
you
think
feel
the
what I'm
difference
saying?
is, I feel the
So
difference
at that
is they
point,
didn't
so
kill
at that
anybody.
point, isn't it almost seems like everybody's open, right?
Say,
Right?
I'm not sure I get what you're saying.
It almost seems as if everybody is the enemy at that point. It's not about a protest anymore, because
Right.
what you're doing is you're saying the people that are qualified, which we all know not to be.
Right,
I mean, at
they're
this
not.
point, let's be honest. You might be better off running into one of those good old boys than the fucking police.
You're not.
But let's be
wrong.
honest. But when you open up the power for people who aren't police, who haven't been trained to be that, to go after other people, then what you then become is a gang.
Oh no, absolutely.
And I feel like I have permission to take anybody out that comes at me, whether you have a badge or a Confederate flag.
Right. These militias on either side that's exactly what it is. It's a gang, and whether they want to acknowledge that or not, that's the truth. I mean,
are we getting to a point where badges don't matter? You know what I mean?
I mean, in some respects.
I mean, let's be honest. We've been to that point.
I feel like we've been there. I feel like
certain
that's where
people
we currently
sooner
are.
than others.
I think that's kind of the point. Is right now people are realizing that you have. I mean, and people have said this forever that whether it was the NYPD or CPD is the biggest fucking gang problem in their given city, right?
Right.
The fucking police are more often than not, have a fair amount of corruption within their ranks. Not even talking like racists and white supremacists and all that.
Right.
But like, didn't Columbus like a year ago have to eliminate its entire vice squad because they were all implicated in fucking like rape and racketeering charges?
Listen, beyond, and I mean, I've said it time and time again. It's up to you. It's self-preservation.
Right.
You feel what I'm saying? And there's not a law, a cop, a sergeant, a general, nobody high enough in ranks that's going to stop me from protecting myself.
No.
Nobody that makes me feel like, oh, this person is superior or more important than, so you shouldn't protect yourself. So, I mean.
No, and I think, I don't ever want to be the kind of person that says, I will never be the kind of person that says, if you treat them with respect, they'll treat you. No, because I know it's bullshit. I will say that I think at least the interactions, the very few interactions that I've been with you in those kind of situations, I think you've handled yourself fine. I don't think you kowtowed to them, and I don't think that you antagonized either. I think what's a shame is that as soon as the media gets a hold of the person being antagonistic at all, it immediately becomes that person's fault.
I don't care.
Unless they're white. Because I just saw a great video today, which is this fucking, bald white dude basically menacing towards a female officer, and he literally took her around the car like 3 times, like approaching her. And I'm like, oh, but this dude gets to walk away. It's just, yeah.
Listen.
Oh, man. All right,
we're getting to the point where motherfuckers' rules are different.
No, they've always been
said.
They've always been different, and it's at least coming to light now. And all we can hope is, with enough attention, that maybe there are a set of people that maybe didn't believe that before believe it now, and all you can do is keep bringing the masses to your side on it.
But what are they gonna do? Even the people that didn't see it before, that see it now?
Well, I guess it depends on whether or not you agree with the concept of democracy or not. Like, either you believe that democracy can work, not saying it's currently working, but saying it can work, or it doesn't. In which case, you're heading to a proletariat revolution, which is what always happens. The poor outnumber the rich, and the poor at some point will be pushed far enough that there's an uprising, and that's history has shown us that time and time again.
I mean, I just feel like that's it. I mean, that's inevitably it. And we've had that conversation before, and we've had the same conversation being that I feel like the only way around that is to try to pit motherfuckers together with, race. And let's be honest, they're doing a good job of it.
Well, and I think, the line that always gets used, and I think, right wingers love to use this shit around. The right loves to use this shit around. Well, while you're worried about the Kung Flu coronavirus and Black Lives Matter protest, the Democrats are eating children and selling sex slaves. Like, I agree that those in power are benefiting from us being at each other's throats. And
But
so,
you know what? Beyond that, the thing that, and I don't get me wrong, I get that we're in this whole re-election year, but the fact that everything comes back around to politics is exactly what makes me lose hope in society.
well, again, I think that's where it's you either believe that democracy can work or you don't. And it sounds like you're at the point where you don't.
I mean, it's not about that at all. Right now there's a tyrannical system, whether it be Democratic or Republican. It doesn't matter what it is. It's the same system.
Yeah.
It's the same system. So when you hear people still arguing together, it's like, what the fuck are y'all talking about?
Well, and I
don't get it.
I think that goes to, I don't know. I feel like that goes to our earlier conversations, and we're only going to talk on this for another couple of minutes, about stop voting people, start voting policy. And if that were the way we did things, I think we'd be in a very different place.
But I don't think that makes a difference. I don't think that makes a difference, because then all you have are the con artists that say that this is the policy that they're running on to get into office.
But that's what I'm saying. I say you get rid of. You can't get rid of politicians.
I mean, I understand what you're saying. I get what you're saying.
I say you can hire people to write different laws and then put it up to the public to actually just vote on the laws rather than voting the politicians. But
I mean, that seems like that would make more sense. But I mean, let's be honest.
Laws will still be written in 500-page formats that no one's going to read or care to read anyway. So
it's gonna listen. We got an issue on our hands, man.
Yeah, we do.
I'm being 100. And I feel like let's be honest, it's about time for another ice age.
Well,
it's about time to burn this bitch down and start all over.
I mean, we have
proverbially
we have a Cat 4 or Cat 5 hurricane that's making land right now, and another one right behind it. So
it's about that time. Right. I'm just being 100. It's about that time. Get rid of us. Get rid of us altogether. And when I say the good ones, the bad ones, and everyone in between, get rid of us, because we have failed as this specific group of humanity.
Of the stewards, we have failed as the stewards of this earth.
Period. And we're too far gone to correct it.
There's plenty of sci-fi. There's plenty of sci-fi shows and movies that are about that, like Earth 2.
Listen, it's clear. It's clear. It's like the world speaks a whole different language. It speaks a whole different language now, and it's like I don't understand it.
Yeah.
You know what I think it is? I think it's no, I don't know. I don't know that it is that. I think people are too scared to stand up themselves, so they search for things to hide behind. And the closest thing that groups of people have are politics. I feel good when I can swim in a sea of people that I believe think the same way that I do, but I can't stand up on my own too. And we have a whole bunch of pussies in this world.
I feel like politics are like the bare minimum, though. I would say that.
I just feel like that's the pool. That's the pool that you can dive into and disappear. But if you join a group that's not so big, they can see you in that crowd. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And if they see you in that crowd, people are too scared of what people may think if you are seen. Fuck the crowd.
It's a way
Fuck
you
the
can
crowd.
blend in and you can feel accepted and feel validated without actually having to have any
And not be
conversation.
seen. I feel like if shit goes down, you feel what I'm saying? Because this is where we are as a country. We're a stand behind the hero kind of country. See, we thought we were a country of heroes. That's incorrect. We're a stand behind the hero kind of country. Right. So what we do is we join these groups like Democratic, groups and Republican groups and Antifa and QAnon. I'm learning these things, by the way, recently.
I was impressed you came with
know
QAnon. Well done.
I didn't know anything about any of this bullshit ass insane kind of shit that goes on. But the bottom line is, people think if they join groups like this and somebody comes for us, well, there's enough people in here that they'll get them before they get me.
Yeah, they can't come for all of us type mentality.
Right. I can sneak away in the darkness and they'll get them before they get me. But see, that's the thing though. I don't want a coward around me. I don't want a cowardly needing to be a part of a group ass person around me.
Yeah, I hear you.
I don't want anyone on my team that feels like when shit hits the fan, you got to grab my ankles because you don't know what to do.
Right.
At this point, let's be honest. I love you all. We all love each other. But it's going to be eventually, it's going to be a situation where nobody's there to help your motherfucking ass. Huh? Is that Democratic group in your house?
Right.
You feel what I'm saying? Is Antifa and all them, all them in your house? It's about time for people to start standing on their own, because if they start knocking at your door, you're not going to have time to open up the back door to form a protective wall to stop that person. What's going on here?
Right.
And if you're asking me, my opinion, I say knock on their door first. That's what I say. I say don't wait for them to knock on your door. Let's go knock on theirs first.
Yeah. That's not a bad way to look at it, man.
But how many people think that way? How many people are, well, hopefully that this vote in Democratic, and then you vote another devil into office and we're in the same boat. I don't get it. It's just this repetition, this whole thing, time and time again, until one catastrophic event happens that make people wake up. Yeah. Is that what you need? A catastrophic event to wake up?
Yeah, I think that's kind of where we're at. And I think to your point, like scorched earth, start over.
You know what that comes down to? You know what that comes down to? That comes down to people being entitled.
True.
I've been entitled. I expect things to go a certain way for me all my life. So when they don't, it's like, this couldn't possibly be the way things are supposed to go. So what's wrong with the whole situation?
Right. Well, it's
and then you start pointing your fingers at everything.
Bingo. It's that blame game versus accepting responsibility. Like, guess what? You want to know why we've got the unrest and the divisiveness that we have in this country? Because somewhere along the line, people failed. Like, people failed either to learn empathy or failed to understand how to have dialogue or failed, to your point, to stand up for yourself. Like, and that's the whole, if we don't get the immediate gratification, and that's this, and I know I'm gonna sound like an old man here, but that's the criticism of Gen Z and millennials in general, is that if you don't get that immediate sense of gratification, then something must be wrong. Versus, I feel like you and I grew up in a world where it was like, nah, you work your ass off, and it might increase your chances of doing better. Right. It might not.
I gotta make you look at me.
Right.
Right. I gotta make you look at me. I gotta stand out. Right. I gotta pull myself out of the crowd. See, that's the opposite. And it's funny that you brought it around that way, because that's exactly how we were raised, and it was the exact opposite of falling back into the crowd.
Right.
It was the guy that wanted to stand at the front of the line.
Right.
Oh, y'all pussies are scared to... Excuse me, sir. Excuse me, everybody. Excuse me, ma'am. Let me get up here, because y'all don't want to be.
You would, and I think it's interesting because we probably have the exact same view from two different ways that we showed it, right? Like, I prided myself kind of coming up of being the one that would kind of be the organizer and get the crew together and like we're gonna do these three things. I think the other side of it too was like football. I guarantee you there was nobody that worked harder than me on my team or in my league when it came to whether it was weightlifting, conditioning. Like I got to the point where I was 210, 220, and I could run a 7.5 minute mile. Like I mean, that's not great, but I mean, for somebody that's that big, especially that, like...
No, I get it.
So, I think that's where... I see it with the kids that I coach even, and it frustrates the shit out of me. Like, if you would work, do you realize how good you could be? Like, and I'm glad I've got the two kids this year. One of them worked really hard. One was kind of but even the one that worked hard, like, wasn't there all the time. And I'm like, dude, do you realize you should have been a Division I prospect your junior year and not been waiting for senior year to get someone to notice you? Like, but you didn't give a fuck leading up to this you didn't care last season. But once you realize that he's an ex-basketball kid, once you realize that people like you are a dime a dozen when it comes to basketball, but when you talk about your skill and athletic ability on a football field, you're a little bit more differentiated. Like, I don't know what you know on that front, Cliff, when it comes to like high school sports, but all I'm going to say is there are a lot more college basketball teams than there are college football teams, generally speaking.
Right.
And on top of that, there are hundreds, if not thousands, of 6'4", 6'5", 210, 220, maybe not that big, maybe 200 to 220, we'll call it that range, in basketball. How many of those kids are football players? Not a lot of them. There's a much higher percentage that there are kids just like my DN in basketball than there are in football.
Well, you know what that comes down to, though, right? You know where that comes down to,
What
right?
you mean?
And there was a point I wanted to make that we're kind of straying off of that I'll try to keep in mind. It's okay, but that comes down to worlds. That comes down to worlds. Do you want to be in a white man's world or do you want to be in a black man's world? You feel what I'm saying? In the NBA, basketball is a black man's world. You could try to cut it any way you want to. It's a black man's world.
I hear you. I don't disagree with that.
Now, the NBA owners and coaches know you have to bend to the whim of the player. NFL doesn't know that. On top of that, don't pay as much. On top of that, career isn't as long. They use you up.
But
and then they toss you to the side.
But there are also a lot more spots, a lot more opportunity.
You think?
Yeah. Roster size alone, dude.
I don't think at all.
NFL rosters
See what you're thinking is, that's the thing, though. You're only thinking NFL, right? See, you got to think in basketball. You've got the
D League, you've got other leagues.
You've got so many other opportunities in basketball. The Euro League, the China League, the Lithuania League. There's so many different opportunities that even if you don't make it to the big leagues, you'll make it somewhere.
But you could, I mean, I will agree with you that it's not as prolific as basketball, but I've got former players playing for the Arena League right now. Like, I've got players that have played in the CFL.
Right.
Like,
but at the same time, you're still not in your world.
True.
You understand what I'm saying? You're still in their world. You're still in the world where they politicize everything and they can tell you why you won't. See, in this area in basketball, even if you go over to China,
but you're looking at it. But you're looking at the pros. I'm not necessarily looking at the pros. I'm looking at getting to the next. I'm looking at get it to the next level, which in this case is college. So going from high school to college.
Mike, you got to think.
If you have a certain size and a certain stature, there are nothing but. I mean, honestly, 60 to 70% of college basketball players probably match this kid's profile. Football, it's probably more like 10 to 15% of those guys match his profile in terms of just size.
Right.
So that's all I'm saying is that I think for this kid in particular, he was at best an average basketball player. He's a hell of a fucking defensive lineman because he's got the reach, he's got the speed, he's got the athletic ability, etc.
Right, but do you want to be in a league where they're going to use you up and toss you out to the side and shut you up if you have a problem? Or do you want to go to a league where they're saying, we have a committee where we can all bring in together and talk. You got to think, even if they decided not to end the season, they still opened up a meeting for all players to be involved, to discuss as to how they're moving forward. That doesn't happen in the NFL.
No, you're
and
right.
even if that does happen in the NFL, you got to think those white boys take precedent. The Tom Brady's, the Drew Breeses, they all take precedent. Their word matters more than anyone else's. Tell me I'm wrong.
I'm not going to. But again, you're talking about pros. I'm talking about the college. Like, I do think there's a difference.
I mean, I feel like it's that same way. It's the same way in college.
No, because you're talking about a very different percentage.
Now, Baker Mayfield may not have as much pull as Tom Brady did, but come on, Mike, it's the same way in college.
You're missing my point.
It's the same way in high school.
You're missing my point, though. It is a numbers game. It's a numbers game. Less than 1% of high school players go on to college. Less than 1% of those go on to play in the pros. So it's a very different. It's a different set of numbers, is what I'm saying. I'm saying that opportunity-wise, you actually have a better chance to go to college and honestly make the pros as a football player of a certain size than you do as a basketball player of the same size.
I get it.
Are you telling me a 6'4" kid is just as likely to get to the NBA as he is the NFL? I would call that bullshit. If he's equally good at both, he is more likely to make the NFL than he is the NBA. Because I guarantee you that you have more people that would match up in an NBA world.
Here's the thing, though, because as a football coach, I feel like you're thinking a little biased about it. Is that another thing? Is if you're a top tier talent on that football field, there's a chance you may get used up before you make it to college. You may get used up in high school.
I hear you.
You may get hurt.
That's part of the reason why LeBron
your first game in college.
That's part of the reason why LeBron didn't play his senior year.
But wait, though. This is what I'm saying, though. Now, the difference is, like it is a numbers game, right? On that basketball court, like you said, there are going to be some people that are comparable. There's going to be a lot of 6'4", 200, 210 kids, like you said, that are out there on that court. That spreads the load. Regardless of whether you look at it like that, it spreads the load.
It doesn't when there's only a certain number of spots.
Every Friday Night Lights, Varsity Blues, what's
all
the one?
These fictional shows.
But it's you know what they all have in common? The black running back that hurts himself because they run him too much and do all this with him. All of them have the same thing in common.
In All American, that was Spencer James's fault. I just want to call that.
Well, I'm just saying though, that's the narrative. That's the narrative because you're in, like I said, you're in a white man's world. So what you are here is you're a skill back. You're a workhorse. You're not even smart enough to play quarterback.
When you are talking about that type of position, yes. When you were talking about a defensive lineman or a tight end, I disagree. But that's
even still, even them, they run them to the bone too. They don't run them to the bone.
You are talking about fictional television shows.
I'm talking about real life in the league. Life.
I have always, and honestly, most colleges do this, and the pros do it too. Like, I have a 3 defensive lineman set. I play 6 guys.
How many injuries did you play on in your college career?
Did I play on?
You're correct.
Like 3 or 4.
Correct. Right. So and what
Go
were
look
you?
at my highlight tape. You can see everything that was taped up.
Listen, but what? And I'm about to make my point. And you were what? All city, all state.
I was an all-state high school player. I was an All-American in college.
Right. So you would think, yeah, that's a pretty good resume to have, right?
Right.
But if you're already battling 4 injuries to make it through a game, how the fuck you think you're gonna make it to the next level?
I never did. That's why I said I'm not talking about. None of my conversation has been about professional.
But what
Mine
I'm saying
has been
is,
about college.
I'm just saying, there's a lot of kids that don't make it there. That are good too. That are good, but don't make it because of injury. And
what I would say is, I
don't see that in basketball.
I think,
and your voice is heard.
I think
you don't see that.
Yes,
you don't see career-ending injuries.
You know
like
why
that.
you see more and more of it these days?
Well,
because kids are playing fucking basketball all year long. They're playing their fucking AAU bullshit. They're playing for their school. They're playing year-long basketball, and you know what that leads to? Repetitive wear injuries.
Yeah, no, I could definitely understand that.
Soccer,
but that's what I'm
basketball,
saying,
baseball are all guilty of it.
you're gonna have those injuries in any sport you play. Any sport you play,
well,
I'd rather play the one where I can play year round and still possibly make it than the one that I can play 3 months.
You want to talk about
not
burnout?
make it to college.
You want to talk about burnout? You're gonna burn out playing something year round more.
But we're
than
not
you will
talking
playing
about
multiple.
burnout though, because it only takes.
You
a
brought
certain
up
kind of
burnout
person.
like 3 times.
No, I was talking about getting hurt. I said getting used up. I didn't say anything about burning out.
I say burnout and getting used up are the same thing. It's just whether it's mental
tomato,
or physical.
sir. But burnout to me is when you get sick of playing. When you play so much, you get
and
sick
you don't
lose
think
interest.
that happens more in a sport that you could play year round
That
than
never
a sport
came
you only
up.
play one
That
season?
never came up. I wish I had the flag on the play things, because now you're twisting the narrative. I said get injured. I said get used up. Kids get used up.
And what I just said was that my definition of burnout and used up are the same thing. It's either used up physically or used up mentally in terms of wanting to keep going. I see those as two sides of the same coin.
I don't see mental as an option, because either you have it or you don't. Either you have it in you or you don't.
Which is
so
why
if you're
I'm
mentally
concerned
burnt
about
out,
getting
you were
kids,
never meant for this in the first place.
Which is why I'm concerned about getting kids to college, not to the pros. I can only control like getting them into college, and then they have to have the will. And honestly, It goes back to being a numbers game. Like, you have 1% of 1% that make professional.
But your question, to answer your question, that's why though. That's why, because you're more at home on the basketball court than you are on the football court.
I hear you.
You're more with your own on the basketball court than you are on the football court. There's less politics there. Basketball court is usually who can hoop the best. It doesn't matter if you're the youngest or the oldest. Get out there, kid. It's not the same way in football.
True. What I would say is it depends on the school. But yes, I hear what you're saying. I think that there is more potential for you, having gone to a white suburban school, to have been politicked out of it than where I coach, which is 80% black to begin with.
I definitely would agree with that.
I think that there's a big difference between those two.
But it doesn't matter regardless. It doesn't matter it doesn't matter.
What up, Keem?
It doesn't matter if you go to Linden. It's still
Linden's a bad example because we only had 20 kids on the team and everybody fucking
But
played,
I'm saying you can pick the most inner city school you want. It's still that way.
Well, here's the thing:
it's
is that with
football,
with basketball, to your point, it can be purely based on talent. Football is a team sport more so than basketball. And football requires you to be able to do what you're told a little bit more than basketball does. And if you can't be a good teammate, if you can't learn your plays, if you can't do what you're asked to do in football, you're right. You're not going to fucking play. Now, in basketball, you might still, because you might be 6'7" and taller than everybody else and be able to get to the hoop better. But in football, it's a different game. If you don't go where you're supposed to go, you're going to get tackled no matter how good you are.
I mean, but then
if you can't hit the hole, then you're not gonna fucking make it anyways.
But see, that's the narrative that they use when they say black folks can't play quarterback. He's not intelligent. He can't rule the playbook. He's undisciplined. He can't do this. He can't. You know what I mean? That's the shit that they say just off the rip. Is it not?
I'm not saying that there aren't people that do that. What I would say as a coach.
Do the majority of the people do that? Not that there aren't people. Do the majority of them do that?
I don't think it's the majority of coaches. Now, if you're talking about the majority of people or the majority of the media, I can't control that. What I will tell you.
Well, I'm not talking about the people of the media because they don't run the teams.
A coach is going to put the best person in the place that knows the system and will do what they're told.
So why was Cap not in the league when there was all these fuck ass quarterbacks that were playing? That's what I'm saying. It's not the same in football. It's not the same. It's not the same because you could wear those socks, you could wear that shirt, you could do whatever you wanted to on that basketball court, and you're still getting in the game. You don't even have to worry about your playing time. You're still getting in the game. But in football, even if you're great, Not saying that Cap was great.
He
but
was
definitely
not.
Was,
That's the other side of it. Is that
not
he
saying
wasn't
that
good
I
enough
definitely.
anyway.
Listen. That's why I made a point to preface that I'm not saying he was great, but he was definitely better than 60% of the quarterbacks that were in the league at that time.
He was definitely better than a lot
So
of
stop
backups.
playing. Let's stop playing. So if you do one thing to piss them off, then you have the ability to be blackballed the way Cap was in football. Why me as a black man would I devote myself to that, to knowing to make, not I could only make one mistake?
But again, we're talking about two different things. We're talking about
I thought we were talking about the same thing. Why there's so many 6'4" black dudes in basketball but not
between
football?
College and the pros. God damn.
Like, in general.
Big difference.
In general, Mike. In general, you said why are there so many 6'4" black guys in basketball but not football? I
didn't ask why. I completely understand it. I'm saying if you have the ability and are playing both, you have a better chance of making it in football than you do in basketball. And that's what I said.
Is maybe you're not factoring in the politics and the fact that they use a lot of the players up on the way.
I am looking at it absent of politics because I don't coach politically. I don't.
And I mean, let's be 100.
I have my best three on the field as much as I can, and my next three on the field for about 25 to 50% of the game.
And let's be 100. That's what coaching is, right?
It should be.
That's what coaching is. That's the actual position. That's what the coaching is building your team up and putting the best players for the job out on the field. But the fact of the matter is that there's not a lot of coaches. Well, I won't say a lot, but there are a lot more coaches that are willing to play the game the way that the...
Again, all I'll say on that front is because I'm a high school coach, politics are based on the district you lived in. I mean, that's the way it is.
Well, definitely that.
So if you live in a place like at the time, one of the wealthier white suburbs of Columbus, if you lived in a place like that, yeah, you're probably going to see more political bullshit because it comes back to boosters and booster money.
Well, that's what I'm saying is
if you live in an area that is poor, for lack of a better term, poor and black, there's a lot less politics. Trust me. I mean,
there's a lot less politics with the one with the hoop in general. That's what I'm saying. In general, it seems like.
I'm not arguing with you there. What I'm saying is you have a better shot to get noticed as a 6'4" defensive end than you do as a 6'4", I don't know what, power forward.
Oh, you wouldn't even be a power forward at 6'4".
Right, exactly. You're making my point for me.
You wouldn't even be a power forward. But see, that's the thing, though. See, but this is
you just made my point. Thank you.
It's funny that you see that as me making your point. I saw that as you making my point because my whole thing from the beginning was trying to describe why you would see more.
I don't know that I actually asked why you would see more. I don't think I ever asked that.
Well, I
said specific to this kid, like, understand, you are probably, one, you're better at football than you are at basketball. But two, even if you were equally as good, you would have a better shot at a scholarship at football than you would basketball, even if you were equally as good in both sports.
Well, like I'm saying, once again, allow me to explain whether you asked or not.
You've got circular logic going all over this
place.
Well,
see, so Mike, the thing is, I'm just trying to explain why you see more blacks than, I don't care if you asked about it or not. I don't care if you, but every time I start to talk.
I'm pulling the shit that you always pull.
Mike. Go ahead, Mike. What are you saying? What were you saying? What were you saying?
You know what, dude? Like, this is the shit you pull every single fucking time. Every time. Talking over. All I am saying is no one asked why you see more. I was talking about a specific instance. I am not arguing with you on this. I understand why more people play basketball. Because it's fucking easier. And two, you don't have to actually be a team player to do any of that shit. So go for it.
Nonetheless, me as a black guy would much rather go into the sport where all I have to do is beat out the other black guys, or not even black, anybody for that matter. I just have to beat out competition. Or I could join the sport where I can beat out competition, but I may not beat out politics. or I
Okay.
may not beat out coaches, or I may not beat out the fact that they run me into the dirt. See, that's the thing. I know that I may be able to believe in my ability enough to say, I'll take on 100,000 people that play my exact same position, but I'm not willing to take on 10,000 that do, along with the bigger picture above me.
All right.
That always that if I can get conspiracy out of it, I would always take that route of the what do you call it, the harder route, because there's more people. The I don't care about that. I want to be the best because I'm the best, but I don't want to be the best and be held back because of politics. So that's why you see more people there than you do here. And that's the way the world is today. That's the exact way the world is. The world is, why is it that I can work so hard, be this good at what I do, and then get held by politics, i.e. the color of my skin? So you go back to familiarity is what it comes down to. And for a lot of people, it's easier to get a basketball hoop than a helmet and some shoulder pads. It's easier to get a milk crate on a telephone pole than a helmet and some shoulder pads. That's what it comes down to. But before we even got to that point, we were talking about people not standing up, people hiding behind heroes. There was a video that I sent you after the King podcast of a village in Africa. I don't know what the day was, but it was a village in Africa, and the whole village came out, men, women, and children. And they all lined up in a circle, and all the men stepped in the ring, and what they did was they fought. They just fought, bare-fisted, fought, until the first person that fell down or somebody quit. After the fight, they shook hands and they hugged it out. Now, a lot of people I can see look at that and be like, why would they do something like that? But see me, I'm thinking, that's my village in Africa. I know each and every man that's willing to fight and how they fight. I know each and every man that's willing to step in that ring and throw hands, whether it matters or it doesn't. I know the heart of each and every man in that village. And the problem is, whether you want to, I don't know if it comes down to segregation, we've let too many in our village. We can't keep track of who's willing to fight and who's not. We don't know who's on what side. We're fractured. We can't be strong if we're all in different pieces. And I don't know, listen, I don't know what that comes down to. I don't know if that's not me being ignorant, but I don't know if that comes down into letting everybody into the country to the point that we are fractured inward. To the point that we can have different countries inside of our own. That doesn't make us strong. That doesn't make any country strong when you have sections that stay to each other, but none that come together. And now we're in a situation, listen, now we're in a situation where it doesn't have to be what you say. We're going to see who's about what and what happens coming soon. I'm telling you, whether you want to believe it or not, we're coming into a situation that it's pretty inevitable. But, I don't know what else you got, Mike, if you want to go into your RNC.
No, I mean, we touched on what we needed to as part of the other conversation, so I got nothing. Yeah, I don't know. See the new Batman trailer?
No, I don't know anything about it. Listen.
I don't know how I feel about Robert Pattinson as Batman, but it looks pretty dark.
Who is Robert Pattinson?
Dude from Twilight.
The main dude?
Uh-huh.
He's Batman? Like the vampire dude.
Yeah. But if you haven't seen him in something lately, don't let that cloud your judgment on it. If you get a chance, check out the trailer.
Okay. I mean, I'll check the trailer out. But I mean, that'd probably be all I check out Batman. But...
No, I hear you. I'm trying to think. Like, I'm trying to see.
I've never been a DNC fan, so
Right. Yeah, man. I don't know. Trying to think through. Did you have any inadvertence that we didn't get to, or anything that you had on your mind?
listen, I was struggling to stay up. I was trying to time my nap to where I wasn't able to go back to sleep after this was over, but I still had enough time that I wouldn't be sleep on this bitch. So
I hear you. All right. I mean, well, we're almost at an hour, so I don't know.
oh, we haven't even hit an hour.
Nah, man.
What's oh well, we
We're at
got to do
55.
something. We gotta get something else in there. Hold up. Let me see. I thought you wanted to talk about the inbreds and the RNC.
I mean, we already, like I said, we touched on that as part of some of the other conversation. I think at this point, if we're looking at the Republican National Convention around the fact that about half of the speakers are either directly related to Trump or significant others, like girlfriends of Trump family members, I think that's a problem. And then we actually had a woman who came on and basically said she believes that every household should only have one vote, and that vote should be determined by the man of the house. So, I mean, I don't understand how you could write this shit, man. Like, I don't know. I'm kind of at a loss for words with a lot of this stuff. I think when we look at Pence basically just trying to rewrite history and saying, "Oh, we've defeated coronavirus and blah blah blah." Yeah, guess what? You know, we have 180,000 dead, something like that. It's crazy to me. But I also don't want us to go back down the politics side, because all it's going to lead to is back to where we were. So I'm trying to think if there was anything else. We touched on virtual schooling. I mean, the football season kicking off is exciting. I'll be curious to see. You know, we've got. I've talked a lot about my two guys. We're playing a school next week that was able to practice the entire time, meaning they were on kind of a normal schedule, so they've had 2 more weeks in pads than we have. They are also what I would call a more disciplined team than we are. We're a little more razzle-dazzle. We run probably 25% of the plays we run, or I wouldn't say 25. Probably 10% of the plays we run offensively are trick plays. Which makes it exciting to watch. It makes it nerve-wracking as a defensive coach, because you know.
Who do you have offensively? I've been hearing you talk about defense. I haven't heard anything about offense. It leads me to believe that you're lacking on that end of the ball.
So what I would say is we're inexperienced on offense. I'm not saying that we don't have anybody. It's just we don't have anybody back. So we graduated practically everyone. I think we may have one receiver.
Listen, I'll be honest with you. Listen, I know you love them kids. I wasn't impressed last year.
I mean, I'm with you, and I think that last year, the year before, we were pretty solid. I mean, we made the second round of the playoffs. Last year, we weren't that good. We have a couple of skill guys back. We actually, interestingly enough, we have the half brother of Simone Biles.
So he's gonna be flipping out there or some shit?
Well, I mean, he does that kind of shit after practice and stuff. He's fucking. I tell you what, the kid is athletic. He's fucking tiny, man. He can move.
I'm saying, what the fuck? What the fuck are you gonna do? You gonna put him on the top of the pyramid?
No, I mean he's fast. He will get the ball
like a Jacoby. What's the name?
Yeah,
what's his name?
I don't know who you're talking about, but
he's what's the name? He took his spot, not took his spot, but Jacoby Ford.
Okay.
Little dude who was 5'6", but he was the fastest in the league. Him and Chris Harris wanted the race.
Yeah, except he's 5'2".
Shit.
But I tell you what, he's a hell of a player. He is.
How old is he?
And he comes down and he hits. He's a junior.
What position does he play?
We've got him a lot. We've got him at slot for the most part. He'll step into the backfield as a running back. He's played corner for us in the past. He's decent. And he's good. I have to see.
Ain't no politics at y'all school. That's for goddamn.
I have to see him. And I mean, that's the flip side of it is we had 2 good sized classes back to back. We only have 8 in this senior class. 7 of them are linemen, and only 3 of them are going to start. So we are a young team. We're a junior and sophomore team. And, I mean, it's good from the sense that this is going to be a short season. Less chance for injury. We're going to make the playoffs, so at least they'll get to experience a playoff atmosphere.
I have no hope. I have no hope for not the next generation.
In terms of what?
Anything. Honestly, anything. Like anything. When I say anything, I mean that literally. No hope for social skills. No hope for common sense. No hope for what's the word I'm looking for? Not like other than book smarts, like
just street smarts.
There's a word for it I'm looking for. It's not like street smarts. It's a
Well, in D&D, we would say the difference would be intelligence and wisdom.
No, it's not what I'm.
Intelligence would be book smarts, and wisdom would be more like awareness.
Yeah, no. It's the fuck it. But I don't see any hope for them, because you see it almost happen with the kids that are in high school now, where it's like is something wrong with you? Like, do you not know how to speak? Like,
Right.
what's going on? Like, can you pick your head up out of your phone and say something to somebody? Like, hello? You know what I mean?
What I will say is,
I think they're going to be completely shut off from the world.
The last 2 years, I probably would have agreed with you more. It's actually coaching that's giving me hope for hope right now, is because our younger class, this junior and sophomore class.
That's why I say not the next generation.
I hear you.
The one after it.
I hear you. But what I'm saying is, like, that's how I felt about the last 2 classes. This class, I actually think is, 1, they're very coachable, and 2, they're actually pretty well, like, I don't want to say they're coachable. And in my book, like, if a kid is coachable, I can work with them. I don't care how good or how bad you are. If you're coachable, I'll work with you all day.
But coachable doesn't mean smart either, though.
It doesn't, but it means that you're willing to listen and you're willing
to
hear
water boy
somebody
was
outside of
coachable.
But you're willing to listen. Like, to me, that is the end. Like, that is the end all be all in terms of a player that I want on my team. Like, yeah, I'll play a better kid over a kid that's quote unquote coachable. But the kid I want to play is the one who's more coachable. And I've been down that road before.
Oh, no, I agree with you there. I definitely agree with you there.
So I'm just saying that right now I've got kids that are our younger classes. Now, the 2 seniors, because I've played, like, they've started for me for this will be their 3rd year. I mean, they only started a couple games each as sophomores, but they started for me for 3 years now. So, like, we have a relationship. We have a rapport. I can talk to them. That's fine. These younger kids, those are my 2 defensive ends. Okay. These younger kids, though, like, they're coachable and they're, like, willing to listen, and they don't just run their mouth nonstop. Like, it's good. Minus the one kid that I talked about last week. He's still pussy. I'm waiting to see if he still has a spot after tomorrow. That's my that's the one.
That's because, like I said, that's because you're in that middle tier. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. You're in that tier where your life wasn't exactly rough enough to make you a monster, but you think you're the toughest shit you ever seen because you never been out the area. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
they have everything they need right in that little pocket of the world. So a lot of them don't ever leave there and just think they're tough for that area. But if you travel a couple streets down,
right.
Oh yeah, you're in a different breed, buddy.
Right.
And you're not prepared for that.
Well, and again, this is a kid that I already had issues with because he played as a freshman. He talked a lot of shit. He quit. He didn't play the next year. And now he's back thinking he's still king shit. And
when you take him on a ride with you.
This is a linebacker that is scared of contact.
That's when you take him on a ride with you in your Gran Torino and make him hit your pipe and say, I didn't know you like to get wet, Jake.
PCP?
Toughen him up a bit.
Angel dust.
Toughen him that motherfucker up a bit.
I'll take him back to my place, drop him at fucking Kelton and Livingston and say,
Listen,
walk
don't
your
do
ass
that.
back to Whitehall.
If he's scared to hit, and they almost ran you off the road, that little bastard ain't gonna make it.
That's what I'm saying.
Shit.
All right, I got a question for you. This one's a little
Yep.
off the wall. Who's been your favorite guest that we've had? And I mean, we've had several repeats in that, but who's your go-to?
But you know who my go-to is?
Aaron.
That's my go-to for sure. Just because that's my guy. Like,
I will tell you, Keem jumped up the ranks pretty high.
He did
when he was engaged and was actually on. He's still listening.
Yeah, when he wasn't shitting.
Right, when he wasn't taking a shit for half the show.
Oh, shitting ass nigga.
And on Hyde for the other half. Okay.
No, I definitely was surprised and not surprised because, you know, I mean, I know Keem, so I knew that was going to be a very interesting episode, but I am surprised at how well that went.
It was he fit into our vibe well.
Yeah, I am surprised at how well that went.
He could stand up to you, which I like.
Yeah, that's my guy.
And then we could argue, all three of us could argue, and I don't think it ever got too bad, so.
I'm not nobody that you can't stand up to.
No, but let me tell you what sucks is part of the problem with doing this on Zoom is, especially when there's more than two people, is that you guys, I can't tell if you guys legit can't hear me or if you're just fucking ignoring me. And I think it's a lot of the time you legit can't hear because I think if there are two people speaking, you can't hear the third person.
Right.
And so I don't know if you listen back to the shows, but I had some good one-liners the last like 2 or 3 weeks.
Oh no, you have. Oh, I'm glad you brought that up. I am definitely glad you brought that up.
Where I don't think you guys heard me.
No, yes. That's what I meant to say is on the video playback, you're absolutely right. It does get zoomy where if multiple people are talking, it sounds like kind of cut in and out.
Yeah.
Like a bad signal. But on the audio, you hear it all. Like there is no cut out. Like you can hear everybody with the same volume. And I have been catching you. And it's funny that you say that because it's probably been at least 3 weeks that I've said I need to let him know that I heard that. And I forget every time. And you're right. You are absolutely correct. It's just one thing you say, and I will. I've been laughing in this house so hard that my neighbors have been like, Cliff, you work too early in the morning to be laughing that loud. I can't help because that's the first thing we do after the podcast is that next morning on Monday, I'm listening to the shit and
right.
Listen, you have.
I think I've had at least a couple. And again, I think there are points where I just get frustrated. Because I know that's what's happening is that when you're on Zoom, and I've been in calls and stuff where it happens, but it's but I actually enjoy that.
Fuck your ego. You get frustrated. It's about what you do while nobody's watching, motherfucker.
Well, that's what happens is I drop great one-liners while nobody's fucking listening.
Listen, well, the people
you better catch it on the replay, bitch.
Listen, I will be honest though. It's been a couple of them that I said, "Oh, listen, I didn't know you had that." I wish I could remember. There was one specifically that what Aaron say, "Presque boo." Is one specifically that stands on the tip of my tongue. That I can even hear you say back in my mind, but I don't know the words that you're saying. And I swear it probably has to just to be last week or 2 weeks ago. That shit.
Well, the last 2 weeks, I think it's come up at least a half a dozen times. So.
Damn, I wish I could remember, but you are correct.
So Aaron is your top guest that we've had.
I don't know if that's my top. That's just my go-to.
Yeah, I hear you on that. I actually think I really enjoy having Aaron on too. As much as I enjoy having Matt and I would be good on our own show. Definitely. And I actually think you and Aaron might be good on your own show. Although I wonder like what kind of content you would be able to cover because I think y'all jump around a lot. Although I will say, what was it 2 weeks ago where you were pretty fucked up. Aaron and I both got irritated with you, and I could tell on the video. Anyway, like you can see Aaron and I both like this motherfucker.
Listen, I just you get what you get. Life is a box of chocolates, bitches.
I get it.
Fuck. But sometimes
So do you have an answer?
You know, I don't have any problem with alienating or hurting feelings. My whole thing is, I just feel like, if I'm being honest, we've done so many of these. I can't recall my favorites and who was on them.
Okay.
I feel like I feel like my favorite episode when it comes to guests, although it be a depressing one, was the George Floyd joint.
Yeah, I think when I look back at our stuff, I think that that's the episode that I would say I'm most proud of. I don't know that I would say it's my favorite episode.
No, it's not my favorite episode, but when it comes to guest interaction,
because we had a legit
like,
panel and yeah,
right, and because it was set up that way, almost made you more cognizant of the speaking over issue. But that's not my favorite episode by any means. And
can you think of a favorite off the top of your head?
No, I can't.
Yeah, I'm kind of with you. I think I liked a lot. I liked, honestly, our first episode just because I did like
the first.
I didn't know what to expect. That's probably one of my favorites. And then
that might be.
I will say the one with Keem last week crept up a little bit. It's probably in the top 5 for me.
Well, see, it's always last week's episode that I feel was my favorite until...
I feel like we had 2 or 3 okay weeks in a row.
Yeah.
But it happens. I mean, when we're doing this shit weekly, you're going to hit some bumps here and there. And those weren't even bumps. We still had good shows. It was just they weren't my personal favorites.
Right.
And so I think we do a good job of varying it up. I think we got to think about some guests for the next week and see if we can get somebody else on next Thursday, though.
Oh, is that what we're doing? Thursdays, no Saturdays? Listen, if we...
I think it's going to have to be Thursdays, dude, because I don't want to say that my wife...
Listen, well, I'm going to tell you right now, I can see us missing some weeks if we're doing it Thursday.
I mean, if that's what it comes down to, that's what it comes down to.
Because I'm not in on Thursdays. I'm being honest. I'm not in on that.
Okay.
At all. I don't like
the
it.
flip side is then figure out how to run this shit and you do it on Fridays. I mean, that's the other side is that we're going to have one Thursday night game this season where we can do it on a Friday. So if we need to take a couple of weeks off, I'm fine to now that we're in football season, call our first 30 episode season 1, and then when we get back from football season, call it season 2.
Yeah, no, I'm not feeling that either. I don't want to stop making content either.
Well, then, yeah, I don't think I can do it on Saturdays. Is all I'll say.
Yeah, and I'm not doing Thursdays. I don't have this in me every week. I wasn't even wanting to do it today.
I hear you.
Like when I woke up, I didn't even want to log on today.
Do we take 5 weeks off then?
No.
So you got to give me an alternative here.
No.
I can tell you that I can't do Saturdays. My marriage won't survive it.
Yeah, no, I can't. I don't want to stop making content, but I also don't. Maybe I don't know.
So can you run shit? I think that would be my ask is let's see, can you do 1 or 2 on your own over the next week or 2?
Yeah, I mean, I can try that.
So what I would say is run a solo show anytime you want over the next week. Run 1 or 2 just so that you know that you're comfortable with it.
Right.
And I can hand the reins to you. I'll tell you I don't like that, but I also understand I get your point on wanting to continue to make contact and I get your point on not wanting to do it on a weeknight like I did.
And then then what we get, that's what I'm saying, and then we end up every year having a 3-month layoff.
Well, it ends up being 2 months, but yeah.
Nah, I'm not feeling that. That's 8 episodes.
I like I said, it is what it is. I am out of pocket on Friday nights 8 or 10 weeks a year. 11 if we're good.
We'll figure it out.
Well, I think the point is if we need to figure it out, we need to figure it out because we're in football season now. So,
All right.
but we can take that off the air if you want.
Yeah, that's post production.
Oh man, anything else? Anything else you can think of?
Sleep, my alarm clock.
All right. Well, we're over an hour at least, so we got to an hour 15. We want to go ahead and wrap things up. What do you got? Take us out.
Fuck y'all. I hate y'all on weekdays.
All right.
And I want to say I mean that.
All right. Well, that is my friend our friend anniversary on Facebook was today, and
Is that right?
yeah, my man.
Oh, that was what that post was, wasn't it?
But that is Clifford Jordan Jennings. I am Michael Reggie. This has been the Do Fools Agree podcast. Catch us. Well, I guess we'll let you know when you can catch us live.
Listen, we Operation Food Truck from here on out. You catch us when you catch us, and you'll get what you get.
I mean, we could go live after games. I could just come straight to your place.
What time's your game?
I mean, we play at 7. We're usually done by, I don't know, 10:30. Depends if we're
That
home
might
or away.
work
though.
better than anything else.
But if you're doing that, that means we're going live at like 11 o'clock. So I don't know. But yeah, so we'll figure it out. We'll let y'all know. Check us out on Facebook, Twitter. The Instagram doesn't really happen, but Facebook and Twitter at FoolproofNet. Like us on YouTube, subscribe, like, share, all that good shit. With all of that, I am Michael Reggie. Appreciate all y'all tuning in tonight. We appreciate you, even though Cliff said fuck off. But y'all have a good night. Take it easy.
Who's that?
Peace out, fools.
Wait, who is that?
That's Caleb.
Oh, yeah.
Oh man, we're not out yet because I had an error on the outro page. So give us just a sec. You know, this is a problem doing it Thursdays and live and all that good shit. So, but again, like, subscribe, all that good stuff. We appreciate you. Have a good one. Take it easy.
That's a good question. I don't know how that works, though. I'll just cut to the credits.